No. Okay.
Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to our Wellness 101 presentation. This evening we are presenting from the Guest House here in Syracuse, New York. And you can check out the Guest House at theguesthousenewyork.com. And we thank Sharon Pearson for hosting the venue for this event. Tonight our guest speaker is going to be Jessica Viscome. And Jessica is the TLS Weight Loss Coach of the Year for 2018. Globally for our company, which is marketamericashop.com. And she is a personal trainer, certified in personal training. She is also a personal lifestyle coach, certified in that also. She's also the owner of Fit Body Boot Camp in Cicero, New York. Tonight she will talk about wonderful ideas around nutrition, the basics of supplements. So, and at the end, hang tight because we're going to have a drawing, as promised, for a $25 gift card from Balance by Bistro MD. So hang tight, and we will also answer questions towards the end of the presentation. So I'd like to welcome Jessica Viscome.
Thanks, Stephanie. All right, thank you guys so much for coming tonight and chiming in. So, like Stephanie said, my name is Jessica Viscome. I'll give you a little bit of background of who I am. The reason why I want to do that is, as you guys sit there tonight, I want you to figure out what your why is. Like, why did you decide to chime in tonight? Why are you here? And because I'm going to go through a lot of information tonight, and what I want you guys to realize is I want you to just go brick by brick, okay? So my background is I've been in the industry for almost 15 years now. I started out as a personal trainer one-on-one, and that grew into me going into the wellness industry and then owning my own gym. So like Stephanie said, I Stephanie, you're so cute. I have been with shop.com for almost 9 years. I TLS weight loss coach for 9 years and personal trainer for about 15. So tonight we're going to talk about some questions that you may be asking yourself. What is healthy food? Can we all agree that there is a lot of stuff out there? There's the keto, there's this diet and that diet. So we're going to talk about what is healthy food. And then we're going to talk about how can I eat healthy on a budget? How many times do you guys go to the grocery store and it is a lot cheaper to get boxed processed food versus fresh food? So we're going to talk about how we can eat healthy on a budget. How can I prepare food with limited time? We're all busy. So I want to go over some ideas for you guys that you can eat healthy and also live your busy life. How do I get my family to eat healthy too? How many of you guys have kids out there? My kid is horrible with eating healthy. So I want to go over some strategies on how you can get your kids to eat healthy and maybe other people in your family as well. And then also going over supplementation. Is a multivitamin or other supplements really necessary if I'm eating a balanced diet? So, definition of a diet. We're all on a diet, whatever you're eating right now. How many of you, I know I do this, I was at Wegmans yesterday. How many of you guys go to the grocery store and you buy the same things all the time? You know exactly what aisles you want to go down. You know, and heaven forbid they change anything in the grocery store because then you can't find anything, right? So we tend to eat the same things day in and day out. We're habitual eaters. And then also, as far as a diet, we eat whatever our culture is. So we're going to go over that in a little bit as well. So if you guys don't get anything from this presentation tonight, at least remember this part. So when we talk about just health in general, and a lot of people will come to me with weight loss, and weight loss really is a science, it's not magic, and the science behind it is stabilizing our blood sugar levels. And what this graph is showing us is we want to stay in that green level, or in that green zone. That's where we're our fat burning machine. So how many of you guys want to be in a fat burning machine 24/7 even when you're sleeping, right? And I'm going to talk to you guys about how to do that. And also think too, and I did this today, I went way too long in between meals, and then I was starving, and I ate way too much at lunch because I didn't eat prior before that. So that is all about hormones and stabilizing that blood sugar level. So we're going to go into that a little bit. So what is healthy food? And I don't know if you guys can see this in the screen or not, but this is basically showing you what a plate of food should look like, okay? So half of your plate should be low-carb vegetables. Those are all your green vegetables, okay? Then a part of it should be your protein, so your lean proteins. That could be, your turkey, your chicken, your fish, things like that. A part of it is your healthy fats, or even beans, the starchy foods. And then a last part of it here is whole grains or starchy vegetables. And in the parentheses, it says optional. So I'm going to go over the whole grains in a little bit. And then over on the sides here, we have things that are we consume sparingly. So those are our red wines. How many of you guys are sitting back in comfy clothes, drink your glass of wine right now, okay? Do that sparingly. Don't grab the whole bottle tonight. Wait until the weekend. Our colorful, or like our fruit, or our good fats, things like that. So we need these healthy fats in our diet, but we want to make sure that we're doing it sparingly. So I used to do a lot with kids with nutrition, and I would always tell them, is your plate colorful? So you want to eat the colors of the rainbow. So look at your plate, or go back to what you had for dinner, and did you have a lot of color on your plate? If not, we want to add some more into it. So if you're noticing that you're eating a lot of beige or white foods, then you're not getting a lot of nutrition in your diet. So vegetables. How many of you are eating at least 8 to 12 cups of fresh vegetables every day? Probably most of you said no to that, right? It's not, maybe a handful of you will say yes, and that's probably because I've been working with you guys for a while. So those are going to be, any of your vegetables, and we really need to get those phytonutrients in. And like I said, all your colors are found in the skin and the body of the foods that are dense and have a lot of antioxidants in them. And then whole grains are starchy vegetables. Big parentheses, it says optional. So whole grains were actually man-made. So it's when our population started to grow that we needed more food. So it was a man-made decision to bring whole grains into our food. Our bodies don't actually need the whole grains. Now, I'm going to debunk this myth for a second. Our bodies need carbohydrates. It's 65% of our energy source, but they don't necessarily have to come from whole grains. We get a lot of our carbohydrates through our vegetables, our fruits, things like that. So when you're looking at your whole grains, you want things like quinoa is really good because that's actually a complete protein. You want things like whole rye, bulgur, 100% whole wheat flour. You want to stay away from things that say 100% wheat, or trying to think of 7-grain, things like that, because actually what they do is they take the actual grain and they strip the outer layer of it, they add molasses to it to make it brown, and then they stick a label on it that says 100% whole wheat. So you want to go with things like I said, quinoa is like the perfect one because you're getting carbohydrates and you're also getting complete proteins with it as well. So then fruits, 2 servings of fruit max in parentheses here. So usually when I'm doing this, it's more interactive, but most of you can agree the reason why we're maxing out our fruit is because of the sugar, okay? Mm-hmm. So back in and I'll go into this a little bit more when we go into the fats, but back in the 80s is really when the whole low-fat, non-fat craze came about, where they stripped a lot of our foods of good fats. They added a carbohydrate, which is a sugar, and then, fast forward 40 years now we're looking at an increase in type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, fibromyalgia, things like that, all because of how much sugar we're consuming in our diet on a daily basis. So we want to be aware, although fruit is good for us and it's a natural sugar, we do also want to be mindful of how much we're consuming. So we really want to yield more towards vegetables, a little bit less fruit. So protein. Are you consuming protein at every meal? This is including our snacks. So going back to that graph that we looked at in the beginning, how we stabilize our blood sugar, we have a saying with TLS is protein and fiber at every meal makes losing weight no big deal. So because protein and fiber helps us to feel full longer, and it stabilizes your blood sugar level. So going back to today, it was funny, I had to take my husband's truck in to get inspected and oil changed and all that. And I got there and I was already about 30, 40 minutes into it, and they called me over and they're like, you know what, the truck's not gonna it's not gonna pass inspection. It needs a new set of brakes and routers. And I'm like, okay, well, how long is that gonna take? Now this was at like 10:45, 11 o'clock, and I was already getting hungry. And they're like, oh, about 1:30. I told them, I go, I'm sorry, I don't have until 1:30. I have noon tops. And I kind of like pitched a pick. So I'm like, I have no food. I'm starving. They got me out at noon. I got home. My husband's like, how did you get that to happen? I go, they had 2 or 3 people working on your truck. So I told them I had to leave by noon. I go, you don't mess with me when I'm hungry. So we want to make sure, because when we get that hungry, we call it in my house hangry. Mom is hangry. It alters your mood. And then at that point, it's like you're gonna eat anything you see because your blood sugar is low. Your body knows that, and it wants that food. And usually at that point, we're reaching for the bread, the cookies, the chips, things like that. By adding more protein into your body, that's going to help prevent that from happening. So now you're going to feel like you're a little bit more in control of your food choices. Also, to think about the proteins. Every cell in your body needs protein. Okay, your muscles, your hair, your nails. Every cell to help increase recovery with if you're working out or even if you're sick needs that protein. So think of this for a second. Any moms that are out there, okay? So when you were pregnant, I use this as an example, the baby took everything from you. And after you deliver and they get older, they continue to take a lot from you. But physically, when you're pregnant, that baby is taking everything from you, right? And the doctor and the physicians aren't necessarily so worried about the baby's health, but sometimes they're worried about the mom. Is the mom getting enough nutrients? The kind of a similar thing is happening in the body when we're not giving it enough nutrients. So protein, for example, if we're not giving your body enough protein, it's going to take it from somewhere. So it's going to start pulling from your muscle. Your muscle is protein. It's food. So although you may skip a meal, your body never will. It will take from somewhere. So it starts to cannibalize itself. It starts pulling and eating from where it needs its nutrients from. So like I said, proteins are necessary for function of every muscle, blood, bone, enzyme, cells in the body. They help to repair tissue, regulate the balance of water and acid. So some of your major sources are going to be turkey, like a lot of your lean meats, eggs, poultry, things like that. Can you get enough protein on a vegetarian diet? Absolutely. And we can, help with that a little bit. So don't think that you have to eat all this meat to get the protein. You absolutely can get enough protein in a vegetarian diet if you're looking in the right places. So going into the healthy fats. So I touched on this a little bit about how back in the 80s they stripped all the fat from our diet. It made mathematical sense at the time because for every 5 grams of fat, or every gram of fat rather, there's 5 calories. Every gram of carbohydrate, it's less. So I had that mixed up. There's 4 calories per carbohydrate and 9 calories per fat. So they were thinking, okay, so if we strip the fat, we add a carbohydrate, where it's going to yield you 5 calories, the food is still going to taste good, we're all going to lose weight. Well, that did not happen, right? So we need to put that healthy fat back into our diet. So I call them the good guys. Avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, a lot of your oils are the good guys. The best way to remember what good fat is versus, not so good fat would be, I put my S's together. So anything that is solid at room temperature has a lot of saturated fats in it. Anything that's liquid at room temperature is going to be more of your good fats. So, coconut oil, right? Better on the skin, okay? But again, I don't know anybody that got fat because they cooked with coconut oil either. So, you know, again, back in that moderation. You're bad guys. We all know this. So, if you're from New York State, I just give the example, go to New York State Fair, and there is a good example of every bad fat that is there. Any fried food. Do not go for the Shalon's laughing. Do not go for the fried Oreos. Okay, that stuff is like my favorite. But we know this, right, guys? This is common sense. We know what is a bad fat and what we should stay away from. Fiber. Do you consume at least 25 grams a day? If you're not sure, I'm just telling you right now, the answer is no. Okay, so fiber is a type of carbohydrate. So if you're looking at a food label, okay, and it says total carbs, underneath it, you're going to see the fiber content. You're going to see sugars. Those are all carbohydrates. But fiber, so when we consume any carbohydrates, okay, when we consume carbohydrates, it gets broken down into a sugar molecule. At that point, our pancreas will release insulin, which is the Uber, that will pick up that sugar and transport it. So the unique thing about fiber, however, is although it's a carbohydrate, it does not get broken down into a sugar molecule. So that's how, if you have things, if you do choose like whole grains, things like that, we need a higher fiber content in them because it's going to blunt that absorption of that sugar. So carbohydrates, like I said, they're broken down into sugar molecules. So instead of it breaking down into a sugar, it will actually pass through the body undigested. So fiber helps to regulate the body's use of sugars, also keeps hunger and blood sugar in check. So some good examples are your vegetables, beans, fiber powder. We're going to talk about fiber powder in a little bit, and also whole grains. And then getting started. So that's a lot of information, right? So now what do you do with it? So the thing that I recommend, this is where we're going to talk about prepping food. So one, I want you guys to just kind of sit back and realize that this is a process, and I don't expect anybody to start tomorrow and be absolutely perfect, okay? So just like I started, you know, when Stephanie introduced me and saying, oh, she's top TLS coach, she's owner of Cicero Fit Body Boot Camp, I didn't start that in one day. It's been 15 years of me building to where I am now. So it's no different for you guys in that it's a building block. So start with one thing. Maybe it's more protein, maybe it's more water. Okay, start with one thing and then build on it. So getting started. So now let's start prepping. Are we still good, Shalon?
Yes, we have a comment.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? We'll when we have comments, and thanks, guys. I'm glad that you're actually here and I'm not talking to myself. That's a plus. So at the end, we will, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. And then when I'm done, we'll read them off and answer as we go along, okay? So getting started. Equipment needed. Scissors, scale, okay? So I tell people when you start on this healthy journey, it's not necessarily about weighing all of your food, measuring it. You may want to when you start. If you're like me, when you buy chicken breasts, they're that big, and you think that's a serving size. It's not. So you may want to get a scale to start measuring your food out. But really, guys, I always tell people, God gave you measuring cups. They're right here. You know, there's the palm of your hand. If it fits in your hand, then that's a serving size. Measuring cup, spoons, blender, crock pot. Love the crock pot. Steamer, you know, so get things in your kitchen that you're gonna need. Find recipes. So if you go to my website, jessicaviscome.com, I have a slew of recipes I'm constantly updating on there too. So go and find a recipe. What I do a lot of times is I will take a sheet of paper, I'll put a line down the middle of it, and then on one side I'll write down what meal I'm going to make, and then on the other side I'll write down the ingredients that I need. So in that way, I don't come home and realize I forgot something. Or
Mm-hmm.
two, I don't overbuy things. So it's kind of funny. I don't know if I think it was salsa, that for a couple months I kept buying a lot of salsa because those of you that know me, I'm kind of short. And we put our salsa in the top shelf, and I kept thinking we were out because I didn't see it. So you want to go through and make sure that you're not overbuying. Like I said, make a grocery list. Have a plan. So how many of you have gone to the store, you walk around aimlessly, you just randomly put in, say, like a head of broccoli into your grocery cart because you're like, I watched some crazy girl talk one day and she said I needed half my plate of vegetables and this looks good. All right, so you put it in, but then you get home, you put it in the crisper where you don't see it, then it molds, and then you take it out and you're almost like angry at the broccoli because it went bad and you're like, well, never buying that again. You know, have a plan for your food. If you're going to buy broccoli, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to steam it? Are you going to, or cauliflower, are you going to do mashed cauliflower? Are you going to eat it raw? Are you going to do rice cauliflower? Have a plan for your food so you're not wasting it. Eating healthy on a budget. Buy fresh produce when it's in season and then freeze it. That's going to be your best option. Look for sales and plan your meals accordingly with that. Try less expensive cuts of meat. Now, when we talk about our meat, now everybody has a different idea on it. Some people are extremely picky with it, and that's great. Really pay, and I tell people too, when we're talking about buying healthy food, I tell all my clients this: you are not cheap and fast, so your food should not be either. And you are worth spending a little bit extra money on your food because you are what you eat. So if you spend a little extra money now to be healthy, trust me, you're going to be saving a lot of money later on, guys. Then that way you're not going to be going into the doctor's office as many times, so there's a copay that you're not paying. There's gas and time away from work, medications, things like that. So it may feel like you're spending a lot of money up front, but in the long run, you'll probably be saving a lot. So don't be afraid to spend just a little bit extra money on you. You're worth it. Broaden your culinary horizons. Try new and different ethnicities too, like Asian food or Indian food. You may find that other cultures may have less expensive food. Keep an organized fridge and pantry. Again, my salsa example. If you have an organized pantry and refrigerator, you know what is in there. And then another tip too. Keep your junk food in places that you don't remember where they are and put your fresh food out where you see it because you eat what you see. So instead of putting a plate of cookies on the counter, put maybe a bowl of almonds, okay? Because we'll eat what is out. Repurpose your leftovers. So don't throw away anything. Go to the farmer's market at the end of the day. So I'm ready for spring. I don't know about you guys. So if you are in Syracuse, New York area, we're just cranky people here up north. There's no snow a lot, or no sun and a lot of snow. So I think the farmer's market, is right around the corner. We're pretty excited about that. And then prepping meals ahead of time. So have things done ahead of time. Like I said, have a purpose. Statistics show that on average, shoppers who run out on a quick trip will spend 54% more than originally planned. So make sure you guys have a purpose for everything. When my son when he was smaller, he was cute. I remember going into Wegmans and he goes, "Mom, we can't go in." I go, "Why?" He goes, "You didn't write a list." So make sure that you guys have a purpose so that you're not just spending extra money, and leave your kids home because they'll convince you to buy anything. So now it's action time. Have your supplies ready. Know how much you're going to eat or make. So there's only 3 of us in my family, but I make a double batch of everything. So if we're going to make chicken breasts, instead of making 2, that's going to be a serving size for us, I'll make 4 or 6. It doesn't take me any more time to make more. Then that way I have it ready on nights that I just don't have time to cook. Chop up your vegetables. Have it, because anything that is quick and easy, again, Wegmans is great, or any local store that you guys have. A lot of them already have cut up vegetables for you. Again, you're going to spend a little bit more, but if your time is worth that, spend a little bit extra for it. Ask if your kids can help. This is where you're going to get the kids involved. If they help with preparing the food and the grocery shopping and things like that, they're going to be more open to trying it because they had some time into it. Like I said, cook large batches. Store in containers or freeze for later use. So here are some meal ideas. So I'm giving you guys, like I said, it's a ton of information, so you guys can always go back, watch it again, and just take whatever you can tonight and then build on it. So breakfast ideas, protein shake. We're gonna go over some shake ideas that I really like. Egg muffins. So you can cook up in a muffin tin, basically like a little omelet. Cook it up and have that on the go. Yogurt with fruit. So here's a little tip: go with plain Greek yogurt. Add your own stuff into it. So the flavored yogurt, they're gonna jack that sugar up. Add your own fruit and things like that to it. A fruit like an apple, banana with natural peanut butter or almond butter is even gonna be better. Steel cut oats with some fruit. So here's some breakfast ideas for you guys. Snack ideas: raw nuts, dried fruit, again in moderation, because that dried fruit is gonna have a higher sugar content. Celery with peanut butter, vegetable and hummus, yogurt, hard-boiled eggs are great. I also like having like the tuna packets. Those are quick that I can just go and take with me. Roasted chickpeas, I love those. Protein packets, beef jerky. So these are all things that you're going to still get some protein, and they're quick snacks on the go. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but we want to make sure that we're eating about every 3 to 4 hours. That's going to help stabilize that blood sugar level. Some lunch ideas: greens with veggies and protein. Don't be afraid. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm dieting, I need to have salad and chicken, right? So, but if you want to do a salad, then just mix it up. It doesn't have to be the same boring thing all the time. Quinoa salad, lettuce wraps with protein. Like I said, a tuna salad, diced chicken salad. Be creative. Go out and find some recipes. Dinner ideas: basically lean meat and vegetables. Crock pot meals are great. Quinoa Mexican stir fry, spaghetti squash with a meat sauce. So those are just some ideas to get you guys thinking. So now I'm going to go into why supplementation. So I want to think, how many of you, I get this question a lot. If I'm eating healthy, why do I need to supplement? Well, back to what we talked about earlier, when we eat the same thing day in and day out, we may not be getting enough nutrients. So I eat very clean, and I do eat a variety of food, but I really like spinach and romaine. I don't really like kale. So there might be something in kale might be missing, right? Or if you're in Syracuse, New York, we're kind of stuck with the food that we have here, and we may not be having a wide variety of different exotic foods available to us. So supplementation is exactly that. It's supplementing what you're already doing. It's not take a multivitamin and you can continue to eat pizza and drink beer every night, okay? You need to still, have a balanced diet. You need to still be exercising. You need to be practicing stress reduction, all of that. Supplementation is there to kind of bridge those gaps. So, one, like I said, is going to bridge the gaps, and two, our foods are not as nutritious as they were 50, 60 years ago. That's just the fact. In the 50s, our green beans actually had 43% more calcium in them than they do today. So what does that mean? You have to eat double the food to get the same amount. So that's just not, it's not reasonable or realistic. So questions to ask yourself before choosing to supplement. One, am I thriving or just surviving? Do I eat 8 to 12 cups of vegetables every day? I can guarantee maybe only about 10% of you will say yes to that. Do I typically eat the same thing every day? I know I do. Is all my food organic? Here's a little tidbit too. You know, my father worked in the agricultural business for many, many years, and even with a little bit of chemicals on it, I think a certain percentage, they can still say they're organic. So that's just kind of a little FYI. Have I ever taken or currently taking pharmaceuticals? A lot of our pharmaceuticals will leach our vitamins from our system. Do I eat 5 to 6 meals a day, and am I getting protein with each of them? Am I consuming a minimum of 25 grams of fiber daily? Do I have stress in my life? I think that's a funny question. Some of us don't, and I envy you. Am I currently exercising? And do I want to live an optimal life? So these are just some questions to start asking yourself before choosing to supplement. So I'm going to go over what I call the sexy 7, and I thought it was kind of ironic that today's March 7th. We went live at 7, and I'm talking about 7 different things. I'm like, lucky number 7, right? So I'm going to talk about a multivitamin. I'm going to talk about activated B complex, calcium, a powerful antioxidant. I'm going to talk about fiber, probiotics, and greens. So I'm going to talk about isotonics versus a tablet. So how many of you are currently taking a multivitamin? And if you answer yes, first of all, kudos to you. Because you're taking that first step in being healthier. So I want you to take that moment and really congratulate yourself for doing that. So I want to talk to you guys about isotonic. So isotonic is actually, and I don't know, Shalane, can you see that screen?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
Okay. So isotonic, so when you take anything in, okay, it could be say you're taking like a 1-a-day multivitamin pill form, or pharmaceuticals or food, drink, whatever it is, okay. When you ingest anything, you have a valve in your stomach that will actually open that will allow the stomach acids to secrete and start the breakdown process. The next point of action is the small intestine, and that's where 95% of our vitamins are absorbed. And our small intestine have little vitamin pockets in it, if you will. So what happens is once those nutrients hit the small intestine, if there's an opening for a vitamin, it will go into that pocket. If not, it doesn't wait in line like a women's bathroom, right? It will just say, oh, it's not available, and it will flush through. So when we take a pill form of what happens is, in a pill, there has to be binders and fillers and all of that to keep its shape. Okay, and if you look at, don't get me started with kids like I won't go into specific brands, but a lot of them will have like dyes in them and things like that. So, but when we take it in, it takes up to about 4 to 6 hours for that pill to break down. Then it goes to the small intestine. By the time it gets there, most of us if you had a perfect GI tract, which most of us don't, you're getting maybe 30 to 40% of absorption with it. So that's why if like your physician will like bump up your vitamin D or your calcium, we can only absorb a certain amount, but they almost double, triple it in hopes that you'll absorb some of it. So with isotonics, there's no binders or fillers. So what happens is they put it into an isotonic form. So it's a powder that you mix with water. You drink it on an empty stomach. And what happens is it matches your blood, sweat, and tears. So when you take it in, that valve that I talked to you about will actually stay closed. Because your body, once it goes in, your body says, I don't need to break it down. It's already broken down. So now the first point is the small intestine. So now you're getting 95% bioavailability of those nutrients. I can't stand up here and say you're going to absorb 95%. I have no idea what your small intestine looks like. So if you don't need vitamin C, it will just go through. But you will have 95% of those nutrients available for absorption. So that's what we're going to talk to you tonight about, is the isotonics mostly. So I'm also going to talk to you about the daily essentials. So the daily essentials, essential means your body, if your body cannot make it, you have to take it. So calcium, for example, is an essential nutrient. Our body cannot make it, so we have to take it, whether it's through food or supplementation. Ideally, we want to have a combination of both. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the Daily Essentials, which is a multivitamin, also OPC3, which is a powerful antioxidant, calcium, and then also activated B complex. So I'm going to start with the OPC3. The reason why I'm starting with this is one of the very first supplements I ever took. Prenatal was actually the very first, and that's what got me going with all of this. And then the OPC3 was the next one. The OPC3, I've had multiple knee surgeries, and when I first started taking this, probably close to 10 years ago, and at first it was one of those things that I didn't notice it at first. I started taking it because someone said, oh, you should take it, and here I am, like, mid-20s, and who really has that many issues in their 20s? So I started taking it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And then I went down to Florida to visit my brother for spring break, and I didn't want to schlep all my stuff with me, so I'm like, I'll just leave it there. I kid you not, my knees ached the entire time I was there. So it was one of those things that I didn't realize that it was helping until I stopped taking it. So what OPC3 is a very powerful anti-inflammatory. So it helps with joint flexibility. It helps with even menstrual cramping. It's a free radical scavenger. So kind of think of your insides as a rusty nail. Okay, it goes in and cleans that out. It oxidates it, okay? So it's great for anti-aging as well. Sinus discomfort, I mean, you name it, it's, there's been a lot of, we can even send you, if you want some information, more on the OPC3. This is the company's top selling product for a reason, and it is patent. We're the only company that has it in this form too, the isotonics. And then a multivitamin. Multivitamin is just that, right? And I'll tell you, if you look at a generic multivitamin in a pill form, you just look at just the label, where it says vitamin C, all of that, and then you look at ours, it's probably going to look kind of similar, I'm not going to lie, but then when you look at the ingredients, that's where the big change is in the ingredients, and also the bioavailability. So you're definitely going to get more bang for your buck with an isotonic multivitamin. Calcium. Go back to that example that I gave you with the pregnant woman, right? That baby is taking everything from you. The calcium, that's where osteoporosis comes from. If you're not giving your body enough of those nutrients, it's going to take from somewhere. So if your body can't take it or make it, we have to take it. So if you're not giving your body enough calcium, it's going to start pulling from your bone, because your bone, your jaw, things like that has a lot of calcium. So calcium helps with cardiovascular health. It also helps discomfort with PMS, supports a healthy body weight, increases your immunity, also supports your teeth and your gums. So calcium is essential. Vitamin Bs. A lot of us do like vitamin B12s for energy and things like that. This is an activated B complex. So that helps to decrease your stress, increase your energy. Those of you that are sitting back and enjoying maybe your second glass of wine right now, it also will help with curing any hangover the next morning. So for those of you that are just not willing to give up your alcohol on your weekends, but you still want to wake up and have some pep in your step, definitely take a shot of vitamin B before you go to bed, because that's all a hangover is you have depleted your system of vitamin Bs. So vitamin B helps with that too. And then, so those are our four. So our four is OPC3, multi-calcium, and then the activated B complex. And then we'll go over definitely talk to whoever invited you to this live event tonight on pricing and what is going to work for you. Fiber powder. Am I getting 25 grams of fiber daily? Fiber powder is, this specific fiber powder is the NutriClean. It delivers 9 grams of fiber per serving, helps to maintain digestive health. People that have a lot of digestive, I've been reading, is the book called Roar, and it's fabulous, and it really goes into the digestive, especially with our athletes. So athletes that are runners, our endurance athletes that have a lot of digestive issues, especially with long endurance rides, they talk a lot about probiotics and fiber and things like that to help with the digestive system. It supports overall health by helping to make normal cholesterol levels. And there is 9 grams of fiber per serving. This also has L-glutamine in it too. So L-glutamine helps with recovering of those muscles as well. Probiotics, we hear this all the time. So probiotics, I don't know, this was a few years ago. I think it was Activia was a big one, right? And actually they ended up making them take all those claims out because although yogurt originally will have some probiotics in it, but by the time it's manufactured, it's shipped, it's put on the shelf, you get it and you bring it home, and by the time you ingest it, probiotics are live bacteria. So by the time you actually get it, all of that bacteria is dead. So you're not getting really any benefits with the probiotics in that form. So this probiotic has what's called live back and a biotrack. So this helps keep the probiotics viable and improve shelf life. So basically what it does, and it's a patent ingredient, live back, so when you take this probiotic, it activates those live bugs. So we need those good bugs, that good bacteria in our system. So if you've ever been like this happened with my son a lot when he was little. He got ear infections a lot, so they would put him on antibiotics. But then it kills good and bad bacteria, and then we get what's called thrush. So, if you have to get on antibiotics, which hopefully you don't have to, but in the case that you do, definitely double up in the probiotics because it's killing all the good and bad bacteria in your system. But it also helps support your GI tract, healthy teeth, vaginal pH as well. So women that get yeast infection, things like that, that's a bacteria, and your pH is off. Helps support your urinary tract. This also provides 10 bacterial strands for support. So probiotics, we have a children's line as well. I'm just talking about the adults, but kids too. If they experience a lot of behavioral issues, if you yourself suffer a lot of like anxiety, because all of our feel-good hormones come from our gut. So if our gut isn't healthy, our gut really is our second brain. So we need to make sure that we're taking care of our digestive health. And then why do I need to supplement with greens? If you're not getting your 8 to 12 cups of fresh vegetables every day, you're definitely going to want to supplement with greens, especially for those that, I had a conversation with a woman today, gastric bypass. Sometimes it's tough for people that have undergone gastric bypass to eat a lot of roughage, or if you have digestive problems as well, sometimes eating raw vegetables is very tough. So the complete greens are great for that. Now, I'm not saying because you take complete greens that you don't have to touch a vegetable. Okay, you still want to get your vegetables, but this is going to definitely help support that. And then, do I need protein powder? If you answer yes to one or more of these, then you may want to consider supplementing with protein powder. So, one, I often skip meals, and this includes our snacks. I do not consume protein at every meal. I exercise, so if you exercise, you definitely want protein. I'm looking to burn fat and keep muscle, or I'm a vegetarian or vegan. So again, just as a reminder, we need protein for every cell in our body. So when I talk about protein shakes, I want to make it very clear. I want to make sure that I'm being respectful of your time. I want to make it very clear that I want you guys to first and foremost get your nutrition through your food. Okay? But when you just can't, and we're busy and we're running around, this is at least going to be better than nothing. So the two that I'm going to talk to you about are the TLS shakes. The first one at the top here, they come in packets. This is great for post-workout. So especially my women out there, we only have a 30-minute window to get optimal protein to our muscles for recovery. And whey protein is going to be the best quality protein to increase our recovery time. And these have added branched chain amino acids in there. So for my athletes out there that are buying protein powder and branched chain amino acids, you're spending a lot of money. This is all in one. And then our TLS nutrition shakes. Our TLS nutrition shakes have basically all the vitamins and minerals that you need in a meal. It also has 10 grams of fiber in it. So that's almost half of our recommended daily right there in the protein shakes. And I'm not just saying they actually taste good. They really do. I've done kids boot camp at our sister location, and at the end we'll do like protein shakes for the kids. So I always joke saying it's kid tested, mother approved, because they actually do taste good. And you can make them however you want. And then just putting it all together. So Food Prep 101 key points here. Identify what healthy food is. Does your plate consist of mostly vegetables, complex carbs, and lean protein? Find recipes, make a grocery list. Be honest with yourself when considering to supplement. Are you really eating 100% clean food? And truth be told, guys, if your commitment to your food is low, your commitment to your supplementation has to be higher. That's just the reality of it. And then I really, from the bottom of my heart, really want to thank you guys for, I know, 45 minutes is a long time, and I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you got something out of it. I love this quote right here: change is never easy, but remember to love yourself enough to live a healthy lifestyle. And it's really about that. It's about loving yourself and knowing that you deserve to, spend a little bit more quality time on yourself to live an optimal health. Because if your cup is not full, there's no way that you can fill somebody else's. And I know we all just give to everybody else, but it's really your time to receive and love yourself. So thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna now bring really quickly, definitely talk to whoever invited you here. If you want any more information with the specific supplements, they can help you with that and set you up on how to order it online and things like that. So I want to thank you again, and then I'm going to bring Stephanie back up here.
We have a few questions first.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the questions.
So,
yeah,
questions.
We
have a few questions here.
Yes.
A question came in from Lorraine, and she's Dee Dee. She said she wants to know, is plain oatmeal a good source of fiber?
Okay, so I would go steel cut oats, and yes, it is a good source of fiber. And because we want protein at every meal, I would maybe have like a couple hard-boiled eggs with it as well.
Okay, great. We're getting a lot of love yous and great
Love
presentation.
you guys too.
A few other folks are saying they're going to sit down and watch it again with notebooks.
Perfect.
So, and then Debbie says she's watching this while eating her marshmallow peeps. Is that okay?
Debbie, moderation. And I always tell people, I'm kind of a blunt person, so when I sit down with my clients, I go, that marshmallow peep isn't sticking to my ass, it's sticking to yours. It's all a choice. It's all a choice.
So, and that's all. A few folks have asked where they can find more information and how they can get some of the supplements that you mentioned.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll follow up with you guys with that on a website and that. Awesome. So thank you very much. I'm going to bring Stephanie up now. So she is going to do a drawing for the winner.
Thank you, Jessica.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Great. Drum roll.
Drum roll,
please. We have a lot of folks chimed in tonight. Actually, Dee Dee, Lorraine Rock.
Yay!
Yay! We'll get it to you. A $25 gift card from Balance by Bistro MD.
Awesome.
All right, congratulations.
Yay.
Yes,
And
congratulations.
we'd also like to again thank our hostess of this wonderful venue, the guesthouseny.com. And thank you, Sharon. And come and visit. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Cheers.